She was not stubborn, she was not careless, and she did not rebel. She obeyed. She obeyed when they said family comes first. She obeyed when they said sacrifice now and enjoy later. She obeyed even when her heart wanted something else, and she believed she was doing the right thing. What nobody warned her about was that obedience can quietly ruin a life when it never includes you. She trained her siblings, she paid school fees, she delayed love, and when everyone was finally settled, she realized she had sacrificed her own life. This is a story of a good daughter who obeyed too well and woke up one day to realize she had built everyone's future except her own. Her name is Chikodi, and this is how it all began. Many years ago, nobody sat Chikodi down and told her to be strong. She simply learnt it early. From childhood, she was the one adults trusted without thinking twice. She greeted properly. She listened carefully, and she didn't need shouting before she understood instructions. If something broke in the house, she tried to fix it. If her parents were worried, she noticed it before they spoke and did something about it. People often said, Kai, this girl is very matured for her age. Chikodi liked hearing those words because to her they meant she was loved. While other children cried or complained, she adjusted. When her siblings caused trouble, she was asked to talk to them. When her parents were overwhelmed, she was asked to help manage things. Slowly, without any announcement, she became the emotional backbone of the family, and she accepted it. She learned very early that saying yes made people happy. Saying yes brought peace. Saying yes made her important, and so she said yes again and again until it became natural. If her parents needed time, she gave it. If they needed understanding, she offered it freely. If they needed support, she never hesitated. She told herself, this is what love looks like. As she grew older, she noticed something she didn't know how to explain. Her siblings were allowed to be careless sometimes. They made mistakes and were corrected gently. But when she made even a small mistake, it shocked everyone. You? We didn't expect this from you, they would say. So she tried harder. She became the one everyone leaned on, the one who could be trusted, the one who could always show up, and the one who would never embarrass the family. Nobody asked if she was tired, and Chikodi didn't complain, not because she wasn't tired, but because she didn't know how to explain a tiredness that had no physical wound. She grew into the role so well that it stopped feeling like a choice. It became who she was. Being dependable stopped being something she did, and it became something she owned. Whenever she felt overwhelmed, she swallowed it. Whenever she felt overlooked, she smiled. And whenever she wanted something different, she reminded herself that family mattered more. Sometimes late at night, she would lie awake and wonder when her own life would begin, but she always brushed the thought away quickly because she believed patience would reward her. What she didn't know was that patience, when abused, turns into delay, and delay, when repeated, turns into lust. Soon, deep inside her, something felt incomplete. It started with small thoughts. Thoughts like, what do I want? And what if I try something different? She told herself not to think like that. After all, her life was stable and many people were struggling worse. Chikodi's life truly changed the day she got a job. Not because the job was glamorous and not because it paid extremely well, but because from that day her life stopped being her own. She remembered the first salary she received. She had stared at the alert for a long time, smiling to herself. It felt like the beginning of independence and a sign that her own life was about to start. That same week, something came up at home. One of her younger ones needed money urgently. Her parents were struggling at that time, and without anyone asking directly, all eyes turned to her. She didn't hesitate. I will handle it, she said. And she did. That single sentence became the most expensive sentence of her life. From that moment on, her salary stopped being her income and became family income. Before she could plan, budget or dream, the money already had assignments. Each time it sounded temporal. Just this one. Things will soon improve. And Chikodi believed them. She worked harder and she denied herself small pleasures without complaints. No new clothes, no holidays, and no savings with intention. By the time Chikodi's younger ones were firmly in the university, something subtle but dangerous had already changed. Helping was no longer seen as kindness, it became her duty. At first, appreciation was loud. God bless you, my daughter. We don't know what we would have done without you. You are indeed a pillar. Those words mattered to her. They made the long hours at work feel worthwhile, and they made the sleepless nights easier to endure. The more Chikodi gave, the more normal her sacrifices became. When school fees were due, nobody asked if she could pay anymore. They asked when she would send the money. When rent increased, the discussion wasn't about solutions, it was about how Chikodi would adjust. When emergencies came, her name was mentioned calmly as if it had already been decided. She will sort it out. She knows what to do. She always handles things like this, and she did, because by then, saying no felt unnatural. Saying no felt like betrayal, and saying no felt like letting everyone down at once. Her job became more demanding around that time, with longer hours, more pressure, and more expectations. She would leave early and return late, tired in ways that had nothing to do with physical strength. Yet, every salary alert came with invisible deductions already assigned in people's minds. Still, she stayed quiet. Men came, some met her through work, some through family connections. They were genuinely interested. They admired her sense of responsibility, her maturity, and her seriousness about life. But once conversations reached the stage of commitment, Chikodi always hesitated. She knew what commitment meant. More responsibility, more expectations, and less room to carry everyone else. So she turned them down gently. Not now, please. I have too much on my plate. My family still needs me, she would say. Some understood and some didn't, but she didn't care. The family budget unconsciously revolved around her income. Plans were made with the assumption that she would cover shortfalls. Decisions were taken knowing she would adjust, and whenever she hesitated, reactions followed. Hope everything is okay. You were not like this before. You used to be more understanding, so what changed? The first time Chikodi truly felt uncomfortable was the day she said she couldn't help immediately. She was exhausted that month with bills from work, personal expenses she could no longer ignore, and she asked for time. The reaction wasn't anger, it was disappointment, and that disappointment hurts differently. That night, she cried quietly in her room. Not because of the money, but because she realized that nobody had plans for her. Her parents were aging, her siblings were growing independent. Everyone had a direction, but she was standing in between. Soon, graduation ceremonies came and went. She paid for gowns, photographs, and celebrations. She stood proudly in pictures, smiling, clapping, and cheering. This is our sister, they said. She trained us, and that was all. After the last graduation, there were no more urgent school fees, no more academic emergencies, no more deadlines, and suddenly, the family that once leaned on her had balance. But instead of relief, Chikodi felt exposed. The responsibility that once justified her sacrifices was gone, and for the first time, she was forced to face herself without distraction. Her parents began asking questions. So, when will you settle down? You are not getting younger. We have done our part. Their words were innocent, but to Chikodi, they landed like stones. She wanted to scream, just to ask them the parts they played, but she didn't. She just swallowed. One evening, she sat alone and thought deeply. She had done everything right. She had obeyed. She had sacrificed. She had waited. Yet she felt behind, and she wondered if being strong had cost her more than being weak ever could. She didn't know how to move forward without fear. All she knew was the responsibility she carried out of love had done her more harm than good. Soon, her younger ones got married, and people began to ask her, "So, what about you? What are you waiting for? When are we going to come eat your own wedding rice? Remember, age is the only thing that goes up and never comes down." These words came casually, sometimes with laughter and sometimes with concern, but to Chikodi they landed heavily. It became terrifying obvious that she had no clear paths. She had built everyone else's future so carefully that she had neglected her own completely. Men were no longer lining up the way they used to. Some of the men she once turned down were married now. Others had moved on. Some no longer recognized her when they ran into each other. She smiled politely during such encounters, but inside, something ached. She remembered the conversations she used to have. "I can't right now. My family still needs me. Let me settle my people first." She had said it with confidence back then, with certainty and with purpose. Now, she wondered if she had misunderstood life. One afternoon, she attended a family gathering. Children ran around, laughter filled the space, and conversations flowed easily. Her younger ones sat with their spouses discussing schools, business ideas, and travel plans. She listened carefully. At some point, someone joked, "Chikodi, you are next in line, no?" Everyone laughed. She smiled, but then when she got home, she realized she had not been waiting. She had been simply exchanging. She exchanged her youth for responsibility. She exchanged her desires for duty. She exchanged love for stability, and the exchange rate was unfair. Nobody forced her. Nobody threatened her. She chose it out of love, out of obedience, and out of loyalty. That was the most painful part. She could not blame anyone. Her parents did not intend to trap her. Her siblings did not plan to use her. They simply accepted what she offered, and she had offered everything. Chikodi began to replay her life in reverse. The first salary she never enjoyed, the holidays she postponed, the relationships she declined politely, the dreams she kept for later and later never arrived. She thought settling her family would open a new chapter for her. Instead, it closed the one she needed the most. She started noticing things she had ignored before. How tired she felt around happy couples. How conversations about marriage made her uncomfortable. How she avoided social gatherings because questions exhausted her. She felt behind in a way that was difficult to explain. Sometimes she felt anger rise, not towards her family but towards herself. But why didn't I speak up earlier? Why didn't I draw a line? And why did I think sacrifice automatically leads to reward? But that anger did not last. What replaced it was grief. Grief for the life she could have lived. Grief for the choices she never made. And grief for the woman she might have been. One evening while scrolling through old photos, she saw herself years ago. Younger, brighter and hopeful. She stared at the image for a long time. She closed her phone and cried. She cried because the people she trained were now raising families of their own. They had moved on naturally, the way life demands. They did not look back, not because they were ungrateful, but because life pushed people forward, and she was left standing at the place she paused herself. She remembered something someone once said jokingly. "You are too good, Chikodi. You will finish settling everyone and forget yourself." She laughed then. Now the joke felt prophetic. She asked herself the question she had been avoiding. Is it too late? That question terrified her. She did not know the answer. She only knew that pretending everything was fine was no longer possible. She became awake to the cost of obedience without boundaries, awake to the danger of postponing yourself for too long, and awake to the truth that love should not require self-erasure. Right there, she understood something clearly. She did not ruin her life by being bad. She did not ruin her life by being careless. If she ruined anything at all, she ruined it by being too good for too long without protecting herself. And that realization hurts more than any insult ever could. One day, on her way back from work, her phone buzzed with a message from one of her younger ones. Please, help me talk to him. He's upset. She stared at the screen for a long time. In the past, she would have responded immediately. She would have called, mediated, calmed things down, and carried the emotional weight like she always did. This time, she didn't. She dropped the phone, and for the first time, the thoughts came clearly, without guilt or apology. I don't have the strength anymore, and that realization scared her. Inside the house, she greeted her parents quietly and moved to her room. Her parents were discussing something trivial. Laughter followed. The atmosphere was light and peaceful. That peace angered her, not because she wanted chaos, but because it had been built on years of her sacrifice. As the conversation continued, one of them casually said, Chikodi will help sort it. Just like that. No question and no consideration. Something inside her snapped. She came out and said, Please, Daddy and Mommy, I want to talk. The room went silent. They turned to look at her. Surprise flickered across their faces because Chikodi really interrupted conversations and she really demanded attention. Her heart pounded. Her palms were damp. Fear rose in her chest, urging her to sit back down and swallow everything again. But this time, she did it. I am tired, she finally said. The words sounded small, but they carried years of weight. Her mother chuckled. We all get tired, Chikodi, so if you are tired, go and sleep. She shook her head slowly. No, not like this. Her voice trembled, but she continued. I am tired of always being the one everyone runs to. I am tired of carrying problems that are not mine, and I am tired of being strong all the time. The room felt tight. Her mother frowned slightly and then said, If something is wrong, why didn't you say it earlier? That question pierced her like a blade. When? She asked. When there was always school fees to pay? When there was rent? When there was another exam, another project, and another emergency? Her voice cracked. I kept telling myself I would speak after everything settled, but everything never finished. Her father cleared his throat. But we didn't force you. She nodded immediately. I know. Guess what? That's the painful part. Nobody forced me. I chose it, and that's why I don't know who to blame. I turned down men because of this family. I mean, good men, no. Men who wanted to build with me. I told them to wait because I wanted to finish settling everyone. Her voice dropped. They didn't wait. I used my salary to train people who now have families of their own. I paid school fees, rent, projects, and things you two should have done as parents. I did it willingly. I was proud to do it. But now, I don't know where my own life fits anymore. Her mother's eyes glistened. We thought you were happy helping, she whispered. Chikodi nodded. I was, she said. I was at first, but happiness should not cost you your entire future. That sentence landed heavily. One of her siblings that was around finally spoke. So what are you saying? That we used you? Chikodi shook her head quickly. No, I am saying we all got used to a version of me that never said no, and nobody noticed how much it was costing me. Her father sighed deeply, rubbing his face, and then he said, We were proud of you. We still are. She looked at him and replied, pride is not the same as protection. That was when the tears came. I don't want to resent my family, she continued through tears, but I am starting to resent my life and that scares me. Her mother stood up and held her hand. We didn't know it was this bad. Chikodi squeezed her hand. I didn't want you to know, she admitted. I was afraid that if I stopped being useful, I would stop being loved. The room broke. Tears flowed freely now. Apologies came, awkward, late and sincere. That night did not end with solutions. There were no clear agreements and no sudden miracles, just awareness. When Chikodi finally went to bed, she lay awake. Her heart was still racing, fear still sat heavy in her chest, but something else was there too. Relief. For the first time in years, she had spoken without apology and she had told the truth without packaging it to protect others. She didn't know what would change after that night. She didn't know if things would improve or become awkward, but she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She will not return to silence. The obedient daughter had finally spoken, and even if it cost her comfort, it had already saved her sanity. She decided to start saving. Each month, she put money aside. If something could be handled without her, she let it be. If it could wait, she allowed it to wait. The guilt came at first, but she did not stop. Months passed. Then one day she found a very small comfortable apartment and she paid for it. Signing those papers felt so unreal, and carrying her few belongings into the apartment felt heavier than any sacrifice she had ever made. The first night alone, silence scared her. She sat on the floor for a long time and cried. She cried because she didn't know what the future held. She cried because she didn't know if marriage would still come. And she cried because she didn't know if she would ever recover everything she lost. But she knew one thing with painful clarity. She would not lose herself again. She started taking steps, one at a time. She stopped avoiding social gatherings and she graced every occasion that she was invited. At gatherings, younger men laughed around her but rarely pursued her. She was respected but not desired. She understood why. She carried herself with weight. She asked real questions and she wasn't impressed by noise. Many young men wanted excitement and they wanted a woman to grow with, not a woman already grown. So Chikodi stopped expecting attention, and that was when life surprised her. One day, she met a man who did not try to impress her. He was quiet, thoughtful, a little guided, and a widower with a child. He didn't flirt carelessly and he didn't make promises quickly. He spoke with the caution of someone who had loved and lost. They talked about life, about loss, about responsibility, and about rebuilding. He did not see Chikodi as late. Rather, he saw her as ready. He saw a woman who knew sacrifice, patience, and loyalty. She agreed to be his wife, not because she was desperate and not because time was running, but because peace was present. The marriage ceremony was quiet, and strangely, it became the best marriage among her siblings because her husband was intentional. He respected her deeply. He valued her wisdom. He trusted her judgment, and the child she inherited did not see her as an outsider. Sometimes when Chikodi sat quietly and watched her siblings' marriages struggle with a lot of arguments, immaturity, and unresolved wounds, she understood something clearly. Life had not cheated her. It only trained her. The love she gave without applause returned to her, even in ways she had never imagined. She married late. Oh yes, but she married well, and that marriage made her to realize that God has a way of rewarding all our good deeds here on earth. Hey, African Tales by Kamma tribe, how are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. Once again, Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you are having a swell time with your family and friends during this holiday. Before I leave today, please permit me to say this. If you are the responsible one in your family, the strong one, and the one everyone depends on, please hear this clearly. Love should not require self erasure. Helping your family is beautiful. Sacrificing for people you love is honorable, but sacrificing your entire future without boundaries is dangerous. You can support others and still support yourself. You can be loyal without being invisible. You can be patient without putting your life on pause forever. And if you are a parent, please do not build your peace on one child's exhaustion. To those who feel late in life, late to marry, late to settle, and late to start again, I want you to remember that life is not a race, it is a journey of readiness. Some people arrive early and struggle, some arrive late and arrive well. Chikody's story teaches us that delay is not failure, but delay without duration can become regret. So draw boundaries early. Speak up gently but firmly when you become a sacrificial lamb. Save yourself. Plan for your own future, even while helping others. And most importantly, never confuse being needed with being loved. Kindly give the story a thumbs up, share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. Until I bring the next interesting story your way, it is a goodbye from here, and God bless you.